My name is Leah Huggins. I'm a wife, a mother, and a proud U.S. Navy veteran. After 2 tours to Iraq, my husband was diagnosed with PTSD. My world spiraled out of control as fear, anxiety, doubt, and depression took over. I gave my life to Christ, took on a new mindset, and let go of the negativity of my past. I now help wives to find healing, encouragement, and strategy to overcome the effects of PTSD on their daily lives and in their marriage. So come on in and let's talk about it. Welcome to Marriage, Motherhood, and PTSD. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Marriage, Motherhood, and PTSD. This is the place where I empower and encourage women to take control of their life as I give them the tools that are needed for self-love, for growth, and development. I'm your host, Coach Leah, and I'm so glad that you joined us today. You guys, I say it every week, and this week is no exception. All right, we got a good show for you today. I'm so excited. Today, we are going to be talking about loneliness. Okay? And not just being alone, but actually feeling alone. Even when you're surrounded by people. All right? Loneliness is a silent epidemic, and it's affecting marriages and families and friendship. All right? And even your health and your faith. The U.S. Surgeon General recently said that loneliness is as deadly as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. That's serious. So let's talk about it. Let's break down the difference between solitude and isolation. And let's try to figure out how to build the kind of connection that our soul really needs. All right? So today is not about feeling sorry for ourselves. No. It's about recognizing where we are and refusing to stay stuck there. Loneliness isn't just about being by yourself, right? It's about feeling disconnected even when you're not physically alone. Being alone and being lonely, those are two different things, right? Solitude can be sacred. It's peaceful. It's healthy. Even Jesus would take time to be by himself and go to a quiet place and pray. So being alone is not the problem. But loneliness, that's something different. Loneliness is a lack of meaningful connection. You could be in a house full of people and still feel invisible. You could be married and still feel like nobody understands you. That kind of isolation is what wears on your soul. Now, we live in a world where we've got AI companions, we got virtual friends and social media highlight reels, right? And don't get me wrong, technology can be a tool, but it is no substitute for real life relationships. These artificial connections, they trick us into thinking that we're being engaging, right? But we're not. God created us for real connection, first with him and then with each other. In Hebrews, it talks about not forsaking the fellowship of believers. God commands connection for a reason, right? Because we're stronger together and healing happens in community. Loneliness usually starts by being rejected or dealing with some kind of loss or feeling disconnected. And if you don't do the work to heal yourself from that, it can grow into this deep-rooted sense of feeling unworthy, or that nobody likes you or nobody cares. Now, usually this doesn't happen overnight. It starts with something, maybe it was a friendship that faded or a betrayal or some sort of deep rejection, right? A divorce, okay? Loss of a loved one. Maybe, just the slow, steady feeling of being unseen. And here's what happened next, right? You start building walls. You stop reaching out. You convince yourself that people don't understand, or worse, that they just don't care. And the longer you sit in that space, the louder those lies become. And that's when real loneliness takes root. Your mind will play tricks on you, right? It'll have you thinking about everybody that hurt you and everything that they did. And you'll start thinking crazy stuff and start saying things like, that's why you can't trust people, or I'm better off alone, right? Y'all know it. I can do bad all by myself. But that's not the truth, right? That's your trauma talking. That's fear talking. And fear is what? Fear is a liar. And God has not given us a spirit of fear. We were not created for isolation. We were created to belong. And the longer you stay disconnected, the more vulnerable you become. And not just emotionally, but physically too. Now, I said it before, as it relates to your health, loneliness has the same impact of smoking how many? 15 cigarettes a day. Think about that. That increases your risk of heart disease, depression, anxiety, even dementia. It weakens your immune system and it leads to stress. Emotionally, it can leave you feeling unworthy and forgotten and unloved. Elderly people experience it after losing friends, right? Or siblings or a spouse, and they start to mourn the way that life used to be. And some people in marriages, they can still feel alone because being with someone physically doesn't mean that you feel connected emotionally. Sometimes the real issue isn't just loneliness. It's that fear that you have of people really getting to know you, right? And thinking they won't stay. And this is what leads to isolation, even when all you really want is a friend. Have you ever been in a room full of people and still felt completely alone? That's not just loneliness, that's being disconnected. And a lot of that disconnection, it comes from fear. Fear of being judged, fear of being misunderstood, and fear of being too much, right? Or not enough. Some of us are lonely not because people don't want to connect with us, but because we're afraid to let anybody get close. This is called social anxiety, and it's real, right? You're overthinking every text, you're replaying every conversation in your mind, and even though you really want the invitations, you turn them down when you get them. And all that is that you're scared. You have some trust issues. You might have been hurt before. Maybe you've been taken advantage of and now you're guarded. You say, I'm good, but really you're not. And that wall that you build to protect yourself, what it's really doing is just keeping people out who really just want to love you. How are they going to love you if you keep pushing everyone away? So let's talk about your circle. The people in your life should make you feel seen, right? They shouldn't drain you. They should encourage you, right? You don't want to feel judged. You can have like 5,000 Facebook friends and still feel like you don't belong to anybody, right? What you need is a tribe of people, right? These are going to be the people that pray for you when you're too tired to pray for yourself. They cheer for you when you win and they're not jealous of you, right? They call you out when you're off, right? But they do it with love and grace. And they remind you of who you are when you forget. So here are the people that every woman needs in her life, okay? First, you have the encourager, right? This is the woman that speaks to your soul, right? Then you have the prayer warrior. This is the one that goes to war for you in the spirit, right? Then you have the defender. She don't play about you, right? She has your back in public and in private. Then you have the dreamer, right? This is the one that helps you to believe and gives you hope, right? She still believes that anything is possible for you. And then to balance that out, you have the truth teller, right? This is the one that loves you enough to tell you what's real. She loves you enough to tell you what the real deal is and kind of say, hey, pump your brakes, sis. And finally, you have the listener. This is the one that doesn't try to fix you. She just sits with you and she listens to what it is that you have to say. The point is that you were made for meaningful connection, all right? There's a scripture that says that two are better than one. If either of them falls down, one can help the other one up, right? Isolation is not the goal. The goal is connection. Don't be afraid to audit your circle either, okay? You have to let go of people who tolerate you, but don't truly see you, right? And stop running back to relationships that God has already released you from. You have to start building your circle intentionally. Stop waiting for connection to just happen. You got to get in those rooms, get in the mix, let the people see you. Now, these days, technology connects us more than ever, right? But somehow we're lonelier than we've ever been. Technology can never replace real connection and real relationship. Now, y'all know I love a good scroll through social media, right? And I get how easy it is to fall into the rabbit hole, and start binge watching videos for hours. But here's the truth. Like, you can have 1,000 friends online and still not have one person who really knows you. We've created these digital versions of community with likes and follows, but we're not really making memories, right? We're not having real conversations, and people are using AI to satisfy their emotional needs. And digitally, we have been overstimulated, but emotionally, we're starving. We've gotten so used to the illusion of connection that the real thing, real connection, it feels weird, right? Healing doesn't happen in highlighted reels. It happens in community, right? And being vulnerable. It's called the ministry of presence. So, what are some of the practical things that we can do to reset ourselves? Well, you can limit your screen time. You can fast or maybe take a break from social media. You can turn off your notifications, right? I don't need to know everything that's happening on social media until I get ready to see it, okay? You can also replace your scrolling time with what I call me time, right? That's the time where you're going to feed your soul, right? You can pray, you can journal, you can call a friend, whatever it is. Oh, also, get out the house, okay? Schedule something in person, some face-to-face moments, right? Get with your girlfriends, go to lunch, go to church, take a walk, get some exercise, just connect with somebody that you trust. Now, I don't want you guys to think that I'm demonizing technology, all right? Because I love technology. We need it, right? But it's all about disciplining your focus. Now, as I said before, a lot of times loneliness starts with rejection, right? And if we don't deal with it at the root, then we're going to keep repeating that same painful cycle of isolation and fear. Loneliness begins with a wound. Somewhere down the line, something hurt you, right? And it's stuck. Rejection hurts. It can make you question your self-worth. And if you're not careful, it can harden your heart. And nobody will be able to get in, even those people that truly, genuinely care about you. And guarding your heart is not about protecting it from people on the outside. It's also about guarding it from yourself and the thoughts and the fears and the emotion that you have that can damage you from the inside. Have you ever been in a fun house and seen those crazy mirrors that are curved or they're bent in certain places? And you look at yourself and it makes you look taller, or it can make you look shorter or skinnier or wider. It just makes you look crazy. This is what rejection does, right? It distorts your reflection, the way that you see yourself. And it makes you think you're unworthy or unlovable or forgettable. But none of that is true. All of that is your trauma talking. Psalms tells us that the Lord is close to the brokenhearted and he saves those who are crushed in spirit. He sees the parts of you that you're trying to hide, and he's not afraid of your pain. You can't heal what you won't face. So if you've been rejected, you have to acknowledge it. You got to journal it. You can pray about it. Say it out loud if you need to, but don't stuff it down and pretend like you're okay when you're not. Because what you suppress, it doesn't disappear. It's going to show up later. It's going to look like depression, jealousy, social anxiety, right? Avoidance. You might be clingy and you might have trust issues. And before you know it, you have built your entire life around avoiding rejection, right? And all it did was just make you feel even more alone. So how do we start healing? Good question. First of all, you have to identify your pain, okay? Where did it all begin? Next, you have to replace the lies with the truth. You are still loved, you're still chosen, and you're still valuable. You have to forgive, not just for them, but to free yourself. And lastly, you have to be brave enough to connect again, all right? Even if it's just one small step at a time. You can't let one broken relationship define your entire view of connection. Everybody isn't out to hurt you. Everybody isn't going to leave you. And everybody isn't your enemy, right? There are safe people out there. There are godly friends and partners who are going to cherish your heart, but you'll miss them if you let rejection lead the way. So let me say this. If you have struggled to connect with others, maybe it's because you've lost that connection with yourself. That's why healing starts with you. You got to know who you are, and you have to love who you are. Then you can invite others to get to know the healed you, all right, and not just the wounds. Your thoughts, they shape your reality. So if you're constantly rehearsing rejection in your mind, you'll start expecting it and avoiding connection altogether. So don't let your imagination create problems that don't exist. If the people in your life aren't adding to your peace, your purpose, or your healing, it may be time to reevaluate that relationship. These are the people you need to watch out for, okay? First is the taker. It's the one that is always needing for something, but they're never pouring back. Then it's the faker. This is the person who's one way in public and another in private. Then you have the drainer. I call them energy vampires. These are the people who drain you of all your emotional energy and they leave you feeling heavy and drained. And then you have the gossiper. Why? Because if they're going to gossip with you, they're going to gossip about you. Okay? Now, I hear you out there. You want connection. But the idea of letting someone in feels terrifying. Why? Because you have convinced yourself that if they really knew what you've been through, what you're feeling or what you're struggling with, that they'll walk away. But that's fear. That's social anxiety. It's fueled by shame. And shame is a liar as well, too, okay? It tells you that your worth is tied to your wounds, right? That your past disqualifies you and that your flaws make you unlovable. And so instead of opening up, you end up isolating yourself. Your imagination is powerful, right? Social anxiety comes from fear. It's the expectation of being judged. So your brain creates the worst case scenario and you start to believe them. But the truth is, many people are just as nervous and insecure and afraid as you are. You're not the only one struggling. You're not the only one who's been hurt. You're not the only one that's looking for a safe connection, right? When your confidence comes from God, you don't have to carry shame. You can show up as you are, flaws and all, and you're still worthy of love. Your peace is directly affected by who you allow in your life. The right people are going to help you heal. It's the wrong ones that keep you stuck, right? It may be time for you to evaluate your circle, okay? Not everyone deserves front row access to your life, right? You got to watch people, right? These are the people that you keep around out of habit or guilt or because you have a history with them, right? So you ask yourself, do they pour into me or are they just draining me? Can I be myself around them or am I always performing? Do you feel refreshed or do you feel resentful after you spend time with them? Familiar doesn't always mean safe, right? Some relationships expired a long time ago, but we don't want to rock the boat or feel lonely, right? So we keep dragging them into seasons that they never were supposed to be a part of. Some people are takers, some people are manipulative, and some only come around when they need something. And some are so broken that they bleed on you every time you try to help them. You can love them, but from a distance, right? It's about setting boundaries. You're not obligated to give everybody access to you. Your peace is precious and you have to protect it by being intentional about your circle. It is never too late to build meaningful relationships, right? But you have to be willing to be vulnerable and you have to be willing to get a little uncomfortable, right? Making friends as an adult is hard, okay? Especially if you're a military spouse and you have to keep moving around, right? And you keep starting over in new communities. It's like you're juggling work, you're juggling family, and you're healing, and you're trying to maintain some sense of balance. And now we're telling you to make new friends, right? I know that sounds exhausting, but I'm going to say it again. You were not created to do life alone, even when you're strong, even when you're healed, even when you've been hurt before. We need people, right? We need real ones, not just social media friends, not just acquaintances at church, but real connection, a real supportive community. Loneliness doesn't just go away, not on its own. You have to disrupt it. You don't need a crowd. You don't need a core. God is going to send you the right people in the right season, but you have to make room. Your healing isn't just for you, it's for those that you're connected to. So, you guys, it's time for my favorite part of the show. Y'all know what this is? It's the coaching moment. Yay! I want you to grab your journal, grab your phones, grab your tablets, whatever it is that you got. All right? And let's get going on this week's challenge. Here's what I want you to do. Number one, I want you to write down the names of 3 people that you either feel distant from or you like to deepen your connection with. Okay? These can be old friends or family or church family. All right? Someone new that you met. It could be anybody. All right? Number 2, I want you to be brave. I want you to take a step and I want you to reach out to at least one of them this week. All right? I want you to call them or text them or send them a voicemail, right? It doesn't have to be anything deep, just something simple. Hey, just been thinking about you, want to check in, see how you're doing. All right? Something simple. All right. Next, also, I want you to join a group. All right. Or start a circle or something, whether it's a Bible study group or a fitness group, right? Some sort of support group like the locker room. Okay. I want you to commit to engaging with at least one intentional community this week. Connection doesn't just happen, it's built, right? All right. And then for the fourth step, I want you to journal about it. How did reaching out make you feel? Did you notice any resistance or fear? And what are you learning about your need for community? What did this week's assignment show you? So, this journey that we're taking towards peace and purpose and healing, it's better when we do it together, right? Loneliness might be loud, but God's love is louder. And even in your quietest, most isolated moments, He still sees you. He's still with you. And He's sending people who will love you for who you are and not just for what you do. So I want you to take what you learned today and I want you to do something with it, okay? Reach out, connect, make the call, let somebody in. And sis, if you're still struggling, I want to invite you to join me and all the other women in the locker room, right? This is our community where we come and we unpack the episodes, right? We share our stories, we support each other through all the tough stuff, right? You were never meant to do life alone. All right? Don't forget to like and subscribe and share this episode with somebody that needs to hear it, okay? And if you like the show, if you like this episode, make sure you leave a review, okay? Let the people know how it's blessing you. Also, this is going to help people to find the show. You guys, that is my time for today. But until we meet again, I want you to be encouraged, be empowered, and be blessed. Peace, y'all.